Welcome into the FFPC's live draft coverage. A little bit nearly midnight here on the East Coast. Midnight Madness Draft, the Best Ball Tournament. $200,000 grand prize, over $1 million in the total prize pool. Dave Terpoilli joining me for the first time this year. Terp, you're drafting live with us. Draft starts in just a couple of minutes. My first question to you off the bat, we're in May. What is your do you have a strategy this early in the year? Do you know what you're going for? Are you testing things out? What are you thinking in these early best ball tournament
It's
drafts?
definitely a wait and see type of approach. Obviously, you have your favorite guys that you're going to target and try to get in these drafts, but you're trying to spread out exposure a little bit and not get too crazy on. Like last year, made a little bit of a mistake on certain players. Getting too much exposure in these, especially early in the draft. So I'm going to try to open up my exposure a little bit this year. I've talked to a bunch of guys, and I think that's a smart plan early on. As we get, as we start doing these and we get closer to the season, I'll be targeting a lot more of my guys. But now it's just trying to get as much exposure as possible. Obviously, I'm going to have guys that I just don't like, and you'll hear about them soon. But sitting in the 8 slot, there's no real plan going in here. I mean, there's obviously a couple guys I hope fall to me. But if they don't, there's plenty of guys in that spot that I like. So see how it goes.
Yeah, your 8th pick. First round, obviously, ADP is still kind of forming. We're well far out from come late August, September ADP. Just, I know we don't want to give away any of the guys you're targeting, any of those picks, but just overall kind of thoughts on the first round, how it's shaping up early on. Do you have any hot takes? Obviously, it seems at the top, it's really kind of narrowed it down to the Jefferson, Chase, and McCaffrey. Assuming those 3 won't fall to you at 8, what are your kind of thoughts on those 3 at the top of draft boards?
Yeah, I think the top 4 is actually set in stone, in my opinion. I think it's Jefferson, Chase, McCaffrey, and Travis Kelce. I mean, I feel like, the Travis Kelce fall off a bandwagon type of situation that people keep thinking is coming. They thought was coming last year.
Wow, we were just talking about this before we went live, and we had just talked in terms. You might as well start it now. Cut off that top 4 talk. We had said how Bijan had been getting love, and he might be the one guy you're fading in like the top 10 for real.
It was a pretty popular thing going around Twitter this week. Billy Muzio came out and said that Bijan Robinson's getting overdrafted so far, and I was a minority in agreeing with him. I know a lot of high stakes players will say that I'm crazy, just like they said he was crazy, but I don't trust Arthur Smith, and I love Bijan, talented, dynasty, dream, all that stuff. But Algier's still there. You never know with Arthur Smith. Kyle Pitts, they can't get him the ball. Drake London, he was good last year, but Desmond Ritter's still the quarterback. Do I think Bijan Robinson's going to be a really solid fantasy player? Yeah. Do I think he's number 1 running back, number 1 overall worthy? I don't.
Yeah, we had said, and in this discussion pre-draft, we had said, and I was like, so I've seen a couple of Bijan 101s, and lo and behold.
Literally, you said that, and I was like, there's no way this is happening tonight. Like, I know a lot of these guys that are in the draft tonight. So, I mean, I'm like, maybe it's just something, every once in a wow, here we go.
We are having a start.
We are having a start tonight. I mean, first draft. I mean, we're getting this out of.
I'm not even. This is
Bijan and Josh Jacobs. I mean, I like
8 p.m. It's 8 p.m. on Pacific, right? But it's 11 p.m. here on the East Coast. Which
people
do you find that the
hangover?
Do you find that the later drafts have crazier shit?
I don't know, but if this is continuing, I like. I texted you an hour ago, and I said I'm going to need some energy to get me through this because I have a long Mother's Day today. I was at a wedding last night, so I'm a little tired. But if Josh Jacobs is going number 3 overall, I might start doing some more of these late drafts.
I mean, this is borderline unheard of start. Really shocking. Bijan 1, which he has gone, as we said, but his ADP has settled at 6 in the last week in the Best Ball Tournament per Fantasy Mojo. Josh Jacobs is going at the 2-7 mark and goes 1 through today. And it kind of goes back to the discussion. We've had it a lot last year. We talked about it pre-draft. We don't need to go into it because, again, we've mentioned it a lot. I know you're coming up the clock here, but it's kind of the gauge of if you have a guy and you're all in and you're early, and if he's not coming back to you, do you just pull the trigger because this is your guy, or do you just kind of leave it? So it's a tough thing, and I think that's the Bijan argument. If you're 1, 2, 3, he's not coming back to you. So I know
he's definitely not coming back. I mean, like I said, like you said it perfectly before we went on the air. I mean, he's not All right, let me make my pick right here. It's kind of simple. It's 7 guys in the queue. I hope one of them fall. Tyreek Hill will be my pick to start off the draft, my first draft of the year so far. I think it's a pretty easy selection. Let's keep it moving.
We'll come back to the Bijan discussion. Let's focus on your pick. You went with Tyreek. I know you mentioned, we kind of said, a lot of these guys in the top 10 all have their various issues. You said Tua is Tyreek's main one. You went Tyreek at the 1-8. Give me your overall thoughts for his season. After he had a great season last year, but the Tua injuries, that's your main concern with him?
The Tua injury and just the Tua, I mean, he's one concussion away from, being out of the league, life-threatening type of situation. Yep. I mean, you saw the disaster of last year. They brought in Mike White. And he's a gunslinger. I think there's an outside possibility Tom Brady takes a snap for them this year. I wouldn't call that, crazy take.
No.
But it's definitely possible. I don't sleep on that, but especially with a team that's ready to win now. I mean, got Jalen Ramsey in the offseason. They revamped the defense a little bit.
Yeah, Vic Fangio.
I mean, they're banking a lot on Tua to be as good as he was last year. So, I mean, Tyreek Hill's just, in any format, just a beast. I mean, he's somebody that I was low on last year that definitely got punished for that. And he's definitely a guy that, like you said, I think it's quarterback proof. I mean, you saw, the playoffs last year without Tua, he's just all over the field. And one thing you do love about Tyreek Hill, you love his coaching staff. They want to get the ball to him and Waddle as much as possible. And outside of those two, they don't have anybody else. And that's music to fantasy football players' ears, because they're going to get targets. They're going to get the ball in space, and that's going to lead to fantasy points.
I mean, you mentioned the QB proof. It's just one game in a relatively large sample size without it, but just it's 6 out. Like the Dolphins are scoring 30 points on the Bills defense in the playoffs with Skylar Thompson at QB. Tyreek, I think, is actually one of the safer picks in the entirety of the first round. And I talked on our last live draft coverage on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour Friday, 2 Fridays ago now, I think 2 Fridays ago. And I kind of mentioned how, again, I even mentioned here that a lot of the first round, there's uncertainty with a lot of these guys, even that one little nagging flaw that they may have that kind of sticks out. I don't know if Tyreek has all those. As you are on the clock, we'll make your pick and then we'll discuss it. And then we'll hop back to the Bijan Josh Jacobs discussion.
So to me, I was really hoping CD Lamb fell. So it's down to, do I want to go, all in on Miami, take Waddle and just, stack that team with Tua? Or do I go with my guy, Garrett Wilson? I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson. Most people probably wouldn't agree, but I don't really want to stack Tua. And if I take Waddle, I pretty much have to do it, or have to figure out a way to do it. And yeah, I know he's, both of those guys are pretty much quarterback proof with the coaching staff, and we talked about, but I just have not drafted much Tua this year. It's not that I don't like the receivers. I love the receivers, but he's one hit away from being out of football. I mean, in the NFL, if he has another concussion, is going to have to step in. There's no way they can just let him go out there and just keep getting hit. And that's a worry for me and not a risk I'm willing to take. So Garrett Wilson gives me options later, obviously with Aaron Rodgers and other cheap stackable options with that offense. So far, so good.
My question for you, you started off receiver, Tyreek and Garrett Wilson. The running backs this year, this is a personal opinion, a lot of uncertainty. I've mentioned before on our first draft coverage that we did with the Never Too Early. I mentioned it when we covered the Genesis and Revelations draft. I love Bijan. But besides that, we talked about Christian McCaffrey with Elijah Mitchell healthy. The touches are a bit of a concern. Austin Eckler, where's he going to even play? Is he going to play? Jonathan Taylor, obviously banged up year. Colts O-line is rough. Anthony Richardson's the quarterback. Uncertainty there. I'm not in on Saquon this year. Love Pollard. Love Josh Jacobs, actually, at the 2.7 mark where he's going, not at the 1.3. My question to you is, are you think the receivers this year in the first 2 rounds are way safer bets than these running backs?
They are way safer bets, but I think last time we had a show, we talked about everybody's doing it now. Everybody's starting receiver. They're ignoring the running back position. And there's no running back dead zone anymore. You're getting guys like Miles Sanders and, Isaac Pacheco. We can keep going on the list of just guys who fit in that mold. Cam Akers, that you have no problem starting in best ball, because it's best ball. You're getting the best available points. So you don't have to worry about starting these guys every week. But then you just keep stockpiling receivers and get as many of these top guys as possible, because the receiver market does dry up, after like round 7, 8 type of situation when there's plenty of running backs available. So to me, it's the popular way to go. And it's definitely a way I'll go a lot this year because you just have seen it's been successful. I mean, last year, people who started running back outside of Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler felt a lot of pain. I mean, there was, Barkley worked out, but Barkley got pushed up draft boards considerably by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. And he also faded at the end of the season, and he really, didn't help people. So you look at all these top running backs, and a lot of them are great picks, but it's just, do you trust them enough with all the situations? Like, how many guys, do you really, I trust this guy, like Derrick Henry. Do you trust him? He was great. No. Got hurt.
Can we talk about Derrick Henry though? Because that was my next question for you. Is schedule release dropped on Thursday? You're in a best ball tournament, as you said. You don't have to start these guys every week. Derrick Henry in the playoff rounds, the championship rounds of this tournament, he plays the Texans twice. The recent memory, Derrick Henry against the Texans is 200 yards and 2 touchdowns almost guaranteed. So in a best ball format, I don't think you were a Derrick Henry guy last year. I don't think you're a Derrick Henry guy.
I wasn't.
Does he get pushed up a bit just knowing that essentially maybe this is a larger question is as a best ball player, an experienced best ball player like yourself, made the final round last year. How much does the schedule release actually affect who you're drafting?
I mean, it's tough because in this type of format, we're not competing against hundreds of thousands of teams. So does the schedule mean something? Of course it means something. Doesn't mean as much as some people week 17 matchups, the correlation and, making sure you get guys playing against guys and, the shootouts and you try to look for all that stuff. Yeah. I mean, you look at that stuff, but do I think it's that important? No, I don't really pay attention because so many things can happen. You look at some of the games last year, the ones that you thought were going to be the biggest blowouts and, the biggest high scoring games, they were the opposite. So it's hard to really get too crazy into the schedule and what the schedule says, because how many teams, look at Brock Purdy, how many Brock Purdy, thought that they were going to turn Ayuk and Kittle and Debo and all those guys into fantasy superstars when Lance got hurt. Nobody saw that coming. So teams are going to look so different. So it's just a sit and wait type of thing. I look at the schedule, but Derrick Henry has to make it to week 14, 15 for me to actually worry about that. And I just don't think he's going to. And that team is not good. I think they're going to try to throw the ball more. You could have a rookie quarterback in there by, midseason. Titans,
the guy.
I don't know.
Yeah, Derrick Henry, I think, is very much a possibility of a guy who could move teams. There was all the rumors bubbling, but if they start off slow, value is only going to be there for maybe this year. He's gonna the Derrick Henry decline is coming. You're going to be on the clock soon, so I just want to ask you a pretty simple, quick question. Josh Allen's taken before Jalen Hurts. They're very close in ADP. If you don't own Diggs, is there any world in which you're taking Allen over Hurts other than just to diversify?
I don't understand it. It's not something that I would do. I think Hurts is by far, and that's not a homer selection, I think he's by far QB1. They have an extremely tough schedule this year. The defense is, obviously they added some good talent in the draft and all that stuff, but I think they're going to be in more shootout. He's going to have to win games with his arm, his legs, all that stuff. And I don't know why anybody would let him fall that far. I mean, that's a great pick right there by, it looks like 3rd round, 6th pick. Yeah. I mean,
he's been going 3-1, so he falls about half a round.
I'm not a big quarter. It's crazy this year because every year you see different stuff. This year it's like running backs are falling, tight ends are falling. Mm-hmm. It's all receivers and these top quarterbacks, these top 5 or 6 guys. So, I mean, you're seeing all these guys go higher than they probably should. Early on, I'm going to try to get some exposure to Hurts and Allen and all those guys. This is another slam dunk pick for me. It was down to 2 guys, and they're both here. I know neither of them are going to make it back. So to me, Devonta Smith is a slam dunk for me. Starting top 3 receivers. And I mean, I think that's probably what I haven't seen him go much later than that. I don't know if you have, Fantasy Mojo up right now.
Yeah, he's been the latest he went was 3.8 before today. So you got him at the lowest point.
I think, and it was either him or Stevenson. It was one or the other. I really like what the guy next to me has done so far. I'm giving credit out and trying to be a little nicer.
Cut Pollard, ETN, or Eckler,
really
CD,
like that
Ramondre.
start. I mean, I was hoping CD Lamb fell to me, and my pick was either going to be Devonta Smith or Stevenson. So very, very nice start there.
I don't mind both of the teams next to you, except your guy last year was ETN. I'm a little
he started off
about
slow. I mean, I like him, and I still think
I just can't get over Jamal Agnew. Jamal Agnew got more touches in the playoffs than he did, and they drafted
Tank Bigsby, which is a worry. And Doug Peterson, do they trust him? Is he going to catch passes? He's definitely a guy that I don't have as much exposure. I actually looked at the other day. He's a guy I think I need to start adding more because I still like the talent, and the offense is definitely one of the best up and coming offenses in football. So it's hard not to try to get as many pieces of that as possible. Let's see, Aaron Jones.
That's Balky's guy for this year. He's been hyping up Aaron Jones at every opportunity. I just can't buy into the Packers offense. Jahmyr Gibbs went at the 3.5. I can get it up. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's been going at the 3.7. So
I definitely have a Jahmyr Gibbs take.
Okay, well, I want to hear that. But first of all, before that schedule, what was your reaction when the Lions were announced as a team playing the Chiefs?
So my hot take. Okay. The Green Bay Packers will have more wins. I said last year that the Detroit Lions would have more wins than the Green Bay Packers, and I think I was right about that. It was like right fringe. Flip it this year. I think the Lions will miss the playoffs and will not live all of this hype that they're surrounding.
It feels like they're being set up to fail. Like I think a lot of people. I wouldn't say that's a hot take. It's the hot take of the Packers being better. I would say yes is, but the idea I feel like it's been floated. That's like, man, like everyone loves the Lions. Like they're the lovable underdog, but at some point, just like, are we pushing them a little too fast? Like Jared Goff is still your starting quarterback. Has the defense really been fixed up that much? We'll see. Terpoilli coming up the clock, 4th round. Two tight ends went off the board, Kittle and Pitts. Pitts and I goes going to be going at the 4.4, Kittle at the 4.1, so both right around ADP. You're about to be on the clock. We're intrigued to see where we're going with, but yeah, the Lions. My reaction was I was upset. You make the pick. We'll talk about it after, but I was upset when the Lions were picked as a team. I'm like, the Chiefs had so many great options. Eagles Super Bowl rematch, Bengals.
Eagles I knew was never going to happen, so I was never
could have played. I mean, divisional. I don't know if they ever do that, but Chargers is always an electric matchup. Dolphins, Tyreek.
I thought it was going to be Arrowhead. That would have made the most sense to me. Tyreek Hill coming back. So my pick's on the clock right now.
Yeah, talk to us. Ridley and Debo.
I think it's going to be Amari Cooper. I'm buying the Browns offense this year.
Okay.
Start off with 4 receivers. A little bit risky with everything going on, but yeah, let's do it. It gives me plenty of, obviously stackable options to go.
The running backs that you could have picked in this range relative to ADP who have not gone yet.
J.K. Dobbins Walker was the only guy I was really considering. He was the only guy I was really considering. I think he's fallen too far, but Pete Carroll is the ultimate 4.7.
Dude, the Zach Charbonnet pick was brutal.
It was brutal for dynasty owners, for
everything.
Redraft owners.
Did not help anyone. I mean, do you think? So you think if you were like the ADP maker, right, or the rankings maker, what round and like what pick would you personally put Walker as? Like early 4th, late 3rd?
I would say early 4th. I mean, you saw what he did last year. He was a beast, and Charbonnet's still a rookie, so you still got to worry there with everything. Wow. See, like the Joe Burrow pick, like we talk about stacks and how I love stacking over everything type of situation. I don't understand the Joe Burrow pick. I'm pretty sure this is going to go one of two ways. I was either going to go with Amari Cooper or one of the quarterbacks. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. Doesn't look like they're going to make it back, which is fine because I have plenty of other options above. But why do you draft Joe Burrow? If Joe Burrow makes it to week 17 or week 16 or week 15 and he goes off, you don't have Jamar Chase. You don't have T. Higgins. There's really nobody else you can get. Why make the pick? Why not take Fields and stack him with somebody later? Take Lamar and stack him with somebody later. You got plenty of options there.
So what's confusing
Make it Joe Burrow.
I have a more confusing one, and I don't think he's going to get back to you because I don't like messing up your draft, but you have Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson's on the board. Confused why they went Fields over Andrews. Fields over Lamar.
Lamar Jackson just goes right there. Like I said, you're going into this going.
Team 3 is just right.
Is the rake
nicer?
So far.
Trying to be nicer.
The rake so far. I don't. I didn't look who team 3 is, but so far they're the right. The Josh Jacobs pick to me is wild. We know that. Yeah. But if you're taking Patrick Mahomes, okay, that's great. No issues with that. TJ Hawkinson, to me, that's early, but to each their own. But why Lamar Jackson? Like, is it that big of an advantage to have those two guys? And like, you have zero receivers.
One's not playing. Like
zero.
What the ones that's your 4th round pick or your second is a 0. It's just it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand that, and that's definitely not something I'm even considering doing.
Why would you? Who's considering doing that? Madness.
That's confusing.
Drake London at the 412. Maybe, I mean, that's honestly probably not that big of a reach. I just don't trust that offense besides Bijan.
I mean, I was not on Drake London last year. I had a lot of prop bets, Drake London versus that guy, Christian Watson, who I love. Yeah. He's definitely a guy that.
So you're in on the Packers offense with Bulky.
All in. Love, Jones, Watson, Jaden Reed. I'm mixing some dubs. Luke Musgrave. Sign me up. Jordan Love is one of my number 1 owned quarterbacks. I don't see any way he doesn't bust his ADP that he has right now. We'll get to other quarterbacks I like later, deeper, but very, very high on him. Darren Waller, it's a good pick. He's a guy that I was hoping that came back. I feel like there's a drop off after him in the tight ends.
So it feels very tiered based, right? You have Kelsey, then you have like the Andrews, Hawkinson.
Yeah.
Kittle,
I'm not that big on Hawkinson, but yeah, that tier.
Why aren't you that big on Hawkinson? You think that's where Addison's going to eat into?
I think Addison's going to eat him more than obviously Jefferson.
Jefferson's his own realm. But yeah, so you're saying Addison's addition eats into? I don't think so. I
don't personally think anything's eating into Justin Jefferson. To me, the top 2 picks in the draft are as clear as day. My 1 is Jefferson. My 2 is Chase. My 3 is Kelsey. My 4 is McCaffrey. And I have Cooper Kupp's probably real close there. I think he definitely is going to be. He's very, very underdrafted right now. I think he could easily be wide receiver 1.
This is going to come out really rude. People realize Miles Sanders wasted his 1 free healthy season, right? Like,
and people don't realize that Deuce Staley's right there. Deuce Staley loves the committee.
Yeah,
like Chuba Hubbard. Somebody might take him later because I'm saying this. I mean, just
I like Chuba Hubbard.
Why why not? I mean,
Chuba Hubbard was statistically good. Chuba Hubbard.
These are guys who are going to get touches. They're not going to be just afterthoughts.
Chuba Hubbard was sneaky good. Obviously, Deontay Foreman had the crazy finish to the year. He was the big like waiver wire pickup. Chuba Hubbard did well with his touches. I don't trust Miles Sanders at all. He went at the 411.
I don't either. I know a lot of people like that I know in this industry are higher on him. I don't have much early. Will I mix
Miles Sanders is
hate him, but
a good running back. I believe that
he's a good running back, but
he's never healthy, and I think maybe
he's very inconsistent.
And there's something to be said is, oh well, he's away from Hurts, so the red zone touches will increase. But I don't know if the Panthers' offense could be bad. Right, rookie quarterback, no receivers. Sanders does have some benefits. To me, it's generally more of the health concerns that he's always banged up. And in previous years with a great O-line, his fantasy production is built on some years it's like 3 80-yard runs he has, a couple for a touchdown. That's it. That's all he has, right? And then a bunch of middling play. Terp, you're on the clock.
It's 2 guys. I mean, they're both running backs. It just comes down to, do I want to be a homer or not? I already have Devonta Smith, so I am going to go with Dameon Pierce.
Ooh, passing on St. Joseph's Prep's own. Dameon Pierce and Cam Akers were 2 guys I wanted to discuss. Cam Akers, look, if you're playing on the FFPC, you're playing with generally some of the best, right? These are high-stakes players. Been in the game for decades. They know what they're doing. Now, granted, you sometimes get crazy teams, but for the most part, you do. I thought Cam Akers would be higher because people were buying into that 3-game stretch at the end of the season where he was dominant and he looked great. But I think there's still some hesitancy of, was that really real, right? These guys are smart. They know not to buy into 3-game sample sizes. Pierce obviously was super hyped. ADP skyrocketed. Had a pretty consistent and solid rookie season, kind of petered out down the stretch. Do you think Cam Akers, Dameon Pierce, obviously you drafted Pierce, and I was going to Rachaad White also. Those are 3 guys I think should be getting drafted a bit higher than they are.
Way higher. I agree. All 3 of them.
Okay.
All 3. I don't see Cam Akers. If he was there, he would have been taken in a second. I agree. I mean, I think the Rams
the 3, does it go in order? Akers, Pierce, White for you in that order?
It would. That's how I would have it. I think Pierce and White are a flip of a coin type of situation. I think Akers is a little bit ahead. I would have taken all 3 over Joe Mixon. Which is, I know a lot of people think Joe Mixon's a great value right now, but I don't know. Something about him is just like.
I see 2 sides to the equation because one, he's the running back in Cincinnati. He's going to get the touches. There's also the flip side. He's not good anymore. Like he's genuinely not a good running back. So
you couldn't have said it any better.
But it's a classic. Do you look at the player? Or do you look at the opportunity? And it almost feels like, remember, like last year, Zeke's a bad football player, but Zeke's still like at the end of the season, you look at like, no, it wasn't the worst fantasy finish, right? Just because he would get the touch, like he would slowly grind his way into at the end of the season a RB2 just finish, right? I can actually go look it up exactly what he finished. That feels like Mixon this year. At the end of the year, he's going to look okay, but it's just not winning weeks, especially not in best ball. Ooh, Ridley, Lawrence, and Kirk. We were just hyping up.
Split second on this one.
St. Joseph's Prep's own.
Philly's I was going to take him with my last pick, so
yeah. I mean,
he comes all the way back.
Maybe I'm jaded from last year, and probably because people don't care enough to just mess with you this early. But I feel like I always have a hesitancy to talk about players that you might be interested by because I just don't want someone to snipe.
It's the first draft. You can say whatever you want.
I mean,
this is getting closer. When we're 10 deep and 15 deep, we're talking about. Most people will know by then who I'm going to take, but this is a good draft because it's kind of under the radar a little bit. I really haven't put any like bold takes out there. But back to Jahmyr Gibbs because I do have a take about him.
Oh yeah.
Everybody loves Jahmyr Gibbs.
He's
a third-round pick in fantasy drafts right now. I did see the other day. I think it was yesterday. I could be mistaken, but he had a sprained ankle already in camp.
Yeah, he banged up.
Small guy, not a big guy. This year, David Montgomery, who we know I do not love, has never loved in fantasy football, barely ever drafted, will outscore Jahmyr Gibbs.
Dude. Terp. Don't do this to
crazy.
Yourself.
I know most people are going to say I'm nuts, but
I'm not saying you're nuts. I'm just disappointed.
I know you're
not angry.
I already said Bijan Robinson.
And, dude, it's the first one. It's May.
That could change. But I know they were all high-fiving and all pumped up about the draft pick. They got rid of DeAndre Swift, but I don't trust the Lions this year.
Oh, and he goes right after. David Montgomery, I think, is a classic example of he's a better real-life football player than like fantasy.
I could see him getting the same Jamal Williams role with just a little bit more efficiency.
Love Jamal Williams as a person. Hate him as a fantasy player. The worst.
Hate him. I hate saying I like David Montgomery. I would never draft David Montgomery in the 6th round. I just don't trust the Lions. I could easily see the Lions being 5-11 and I can't make in the playoffs. I just don't. They have a lot of talent. You already have the Jameson Williams issue.
Yeah.
St. Brown, great fantasy player. No tight end to worry. Marvin Jones is there.
I have a take. Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver 1.
I don't think it's crazy.
I don't think it's crazy at all. It's more so he's just got to stay
healthy.
Wasn't
on as much early that I'm starting to pick more back up because
like the receivers I'm taking above him, Jefferson, Chase. I do love Kyle, Tyreek, and that's probably it. I think he's 5th right now for me. But so I'm kind of being contradicting myself. I'm calling him. I think maybe I should rephrase. I think there's a rock solid chance that he's wide receiver 1, and I think he's a lock if healthy to finish top 5 in the receivers. I love AJ Brown.
I don't disagree whatsoever.
God, the receivers are always loaded. Running backs are
receivers. It's just you're gonna get different this year because you're gonna look at the first. I don't know. We'll go all the way up to CD Lamb. And just eliminate Devontae Adams because he's a popular pick to be that guy that falls down.
Mm-hmm.
Who out of those top guys that you think could be the bust of the group? The guy who, is overhyped. Jefferson, Chase, Cooper Kupp, I guess you can say that with the questions on Stafford.
but Stafford was like that last year. Cooper Kupp was on pace to finish as wide receiver 1. None of them. I'm going to be like, honestly, Wilson is the first one where it gets to be, and that's just if Rodgers is washed.
If Rodgers blows up, really like what Team 1 did. I don't know who Team 1 is. I mean, BJ Rodgers. And I'm not the biggest Breece Hall guy this year.
They love their rookies. Oh my God, they love the rookies from last year.
London.
Look at all those year 2 receivers. That's 4 of the 5, and then a rookie.
That's a talented 5 right there. Jeez, I like my 4, but that's a talented 5.
Oh, and Breece, and they don't have a single player out entering everyone is in year 2 in the NFL or less. It's a college program. That's a borderline college program right over there. That's ridiculous. I like it. I just can't.
I like it a lot.
The team next to you, you love the Eckler, CD, Ramondre start. Then they finish with Ridley, Lawrence, and Kirk. Not finish. They resume with. Do you like that? I kind of do. I'm in on that offense. I'm a fan.
I love that. I mean, nothing negative to say about that team. It's also very, very. It's I like it better than mine.
James Cook or Damian Harris?
James Cook always. I like Damian Harris, but like you have to look at Damian Harris as like if Damian Harris is going to be successful, that's going to come at probably the Josh Allen. He's going to take away some rushing TDs from him, which I don't think Buffalo can talk all they want about trying to run the ball more and do all that stuff, but the only way Buffalo is winning anything is if they throw the ball around the field like they always do. And they figure out a way to pass block better.
I don't think it's a hot take. That word hot, the term hot take is starting to run way too much, but I still have this I think Buffalo is really just a 2-horse fantasy system. Like it's Allen and Diggs, and best ball's a little bit different, but for redraft, I think it's only those 2, and I don't think I'm touching anyone else.
I agree.
I'm trying to look at Pacheco, 6'11". I just can't get over Team 1. I want to see when they draft their first non-rookie or sophomore.
Me and him are in a battle right now. So I'm on the clock right now. I remember the first draft I did last year, and I got a little arrogant with the quarterback position.
Yes.
And I remember it burning me because I wanted certain guys, and I should have stacked them early. So I'm not going to make that mistake now. I'm going to take Deshaun Watson to go with Cooper. I think it's the best pick. Is there other guys that I like here? Probably a little bit more. Yes. But Deshaun Watson will be my pick to complete the Cooper stack. I'm very, very high on the Browns this year. I think they're going to throw the ball a lot more than people think. They have plenty of weapons down there. So Watson, man, this guy's having a great draft. Really good draft. I mean,
yeah,
Kadarius Toney is a perfect 4th, guy that obviously if he flops, but if he hits, I mean, you have Jacksonville offenses through the roof. CeeDee Lamb, who's a clear-cut wide receiver 1. Really, really hard not to. That's a very, very good draft.
How many snaps did Kadarius Toney play in the Super Bowl? Offensive snaps.
Not a lot.
Yeah, I believe it was it's 8, including special teams.
That's a wild card of a team. Wow, very, very wild card of a team because
that was me being Jekyll and Hyde.
Who is the guy? And that guy could be a fantasy winner this year. Look at them all. Yeah. You go from MVS, who you're never going to draft as a fantasy winner, but you never know.
No, we know.
Rice, who they trade up to get in the draft.
Yeah, that's the real wild card.
What about Sky Moore? Does he take the lead?
The 7th round is gross.
Kadarius Toney. Is Justin Ross going to come back and maybe be Richie James? I mean, one of these guys is going to be a league winner. It's just figuring out which one.
I was a two-face because on the last draft show I was hyping up Toney, but now it's just I go back and forth. One day it's I'm all in, and the other day it's this guy's going to be hurt all year, and then he'll play 8 snaps a game. Madison and Samaje is just gross in the 7th round.
I mean,
Samaje is going 9-3. Madison is going 9-6. So
Dalvin Cook has not been released yet. They keep talking like they're going to. I don't know what they're waiting for. But even if he does get released, are you really I know he's been great when he's got the chance, Madison. But I could see some, Ty Chandler. They drafted the kid McBride. I could see them getting plenty of touches too. Like they're just not going to hand the ball to Alexander Madison 25 times a game.
Just the longer Dalvin Cook isn't released, the more I think he's back, which is I was in on Madison because Madison in the Never Too Early, I made a graphic about it for the post at FFPC. His ADP was late 9. I think at that point it might have even been in the 10th round. I was like, I'm in on this for best ball because I think Cook's getting released. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Like if he's getting, I don't know if he's getting released. It feels like the time has passed. I was seeing some advanced stats say Terp, you're on the clock. I'll just kind of talk over your pick, but the advanced stats behind Dalvin recently, I don't know, we'll talk about that. The advanced stats behind Dalvin, as my summary, is not great. He's, I think, one of the worst like expected rushing yards gained out of.
And that team will be bad defensively. They traded Smith this week. They really had an okay offseason on defense, but they're stacking up to be, a very, very, very explosive offensive team. Hawkinson, obviously Jefferson, and adding Addison. KJ Osborne's no slouch. So it is, Addison goes.
Can I ask you something about your draft? Because you gave me permission to just talk about it.
Of course.
We talked about the concerns with him. I generally was considering if I was in your shoes, and then being done with it, double tapping quarterback and drafting Tua right there.
I might still, but he's not a guy you can. I love that offense, but if you double tap Tua, here's my thought process. If you double tap Tua, you have to get another quarterback because.
Yes. But you can find a guy like you just talked about your love for love. You can get a guy later on. So I would have the Tua Tyreek stack this year is so appealing to me because unlike some of these more elite stacks, you see the Hurts, AJ Brown, the Allen Diggs, the Mahomes, Kelsey, you can get Tua in. He's going in the late 8th.
Right. And he still might be there for my next pick. He might be in consideration then.
Okay.
But if I draft Tua, which I might, I guess, if I do, I would have to draft a third quarterback. Yes. Without a doubt. And at this point, with the structure that I have right now, I probably will draft 3 quarterbacks because I don't have one of the – to me, it's Hurts, Allen, Mahomes, Fields, Lamar, and that's like where the tier break is. And then it's Herbert and Trevor Lawrence. And then it's Deshaun Watson, Anthony Richardson, guys like that in that thing. After that, it's just like there's plenty of potential. We talked about Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, guys like that. But Tua is just such a wild card. Like, I don't know where I have him. I don't know where to rank the guy because could he be great? Of course. You saw what he did to start the season. He was one of the top quarterbacks in fantasy football. But if I draft Tua, I probably would draft Mike White like the 20th round.
Oh, dang, dude. You know Team 1 wanted Anthony Richardson to fall. He drafted his first non-rookie, non-sophomore. Terp, what's honestly a little bit surprising because there's been opportunities besides there's Hurts Goddard, there's Watson, Njoku, and Cooper for you, and then the Lawrence, Kirk, Ridley. Besides that, no one else really has any stacks unless I'm missing some.
No, it's definitely a little weird. I expect
it's been such a trend. Like it's such a trend. It's
the hip thing. It's been successful, and obviously you've seen teams win without stacking, but obviously you have to get there first. But like it gives you such an advance. The Browns are a very good football team this year. They're probably a good football team just because of Watson and obviously Cooper, Njoku, who I've always liked. He's never put it together on a top-notch level, but it helps the position that's extremely weak right now, the tight end position. Everybody is pretty much like tanking tight ends. If you don't get one of the Kelce's, Andrews, pretty much Kelsey Andrews, like, is there really a difference between Hawkinson, Pitts, Kittle, Goddard and Waller? Yeah, of course you're going to have your rankings different, but like, I'll take the guy who's the cheapest. And then after that, you have like the Ingram, Njoku, type of guys. They're all kind of the same. It's just, I might be getting that chance to take Tua coming up here.
Yeah.
See if I'm going to listen and do it.
We shall see. The Dalton Kincaid, I want to touch you. I'm lower on him the most. Are you in on Kincaid? You obviously passed on him. You took Njoku, stacked with Watson. Where are you on the rookie tight ends? Is Kincaid one of the guy that you
he's definitely a guy that I like. I'm not
a tough scene.
He did it on purpose. That was definitely on purpose. I'm very sad now.
Were you going to take him?
I was thinking about it. I
Okay.
can't say if I was going to or not.
Okay.
But I'm definitely not now. Let's see. We got some guys we're thinking about. No tight ends. We can forget that position.
Gino. There's another stack. Gino and Lockett.
Okay.
All right, Terps on the clock.
Two guys. Very painful here because I was going to take Tua or Cortland Sutton. So both those guys go in front of me because I had this Sutton Russ possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of cheap stacks that are out there right now. And I think the Broncos rebound this year. They were very painful for me last year financially and just torture to watch them play. But I think with Peyton, they take the next step this year and they're way better. So my pick right now is a boring one, but it will be A.J. Dillon. Just need add another running back to the room. With Pearson Swift. Plenty of receivers still out there that I like. I got 4 good ones. Is there a possibility that the next pick will be one of the receivers I like? We'll see. I mean, I think A.J. Dillon's clear cut with touches. I mean, he was very good for me down the stretch on the team that made it to the finals last year. It's him and Aaron Jones. I mean, there's nobody else that you really got to worry about there. I think he could be better this year. Obviously, he's going to get a lot of the goal line work, which is good. So it's kind of a boring pick, but I feel like there's a drop-off coming at the running back position. There's a couple more that I like. But right now, tight end is ugly. Running back's kind of ugly, even though there's a couple that I like. Let me just throw some guys in the queue real quick.
Yeah, you're good. And I'll set up.
That was not fun. Who did that? Like, why? Why? Like, it's just there's so many ways. That was frustrating. I was going to take Aaron Rodgers there to be safe. I was like, there's no way. Why would any of these guys take him?
Well,
that's fine.
Are you regretting the Dillon pick at all?
No.
Okay.
No. It was either A.J. Dillon or so far the guys available that I was going to take. So we'll speak about him momentarily.
Yep.
If it comes to it.
Quarterbacks are flying. Absolutely flying.
Which is fine. It's going to be a 3-quarterback build. So
yeah, you're really, obviously it's round 10, which is fine. But as the year goes on, I feel like round 10, you start to see the value, you get it. Early on, it just feels like the dead zone hits really early. Like there's no one I like here. Ooh, that was a quick trigger there, Terp.
It was either going to be A.J. Dillon or Michael Thomas for the last. I'm higher on Michael Thomas this year, I think.
For what? That one
game
he plays?
Is he a worry? Of course he's a worry, but the talent's there. The offense, I think, is there with Carr. I mean, obviously you got Olave there and, some, younger guys who, could emerge. But as my 5th receiver, the upside he possesses, we've seen. Does he have his head in the game? Is he ready to play? Could be a total wasted pick, but in that spot when guys that I would prefer, like obviously Aaron Rodgers, did not fall to me. I think Thomas is, will definitely slow down the position for a little bit, receiver wise. But I'm happy so far. I mean, I also have the week 17 correlation for all the correlation bros out there.
The correlation
Browns Jets, which is positive. They play each other, I believe, it's the first game of week 17. So we're expecting a nice shootout in that one to win a championship.
What's your favorite fantasy, not fantasy hipster, but your fantasy bro? What's your favorite fantasy bro strategy? Do you have one? Is it I think it's a stack, right?
I like making. I mean, it's definitely stacking, but I just love it. I mean, I make fun of them, but I do the same thing. So it's just it's kind of just fun to sit here and just watch how some of these guys draft, and it's like, man, I really enjoy that team. At the team next to me, I keep looking at it. I'm just really like it.
Yeah.
And sky high on the Jags this year. And that if that team hits, it's just you got the 2 top receivers. There's no downside to that team. I mean, it's very, very good. And I know I've been very nice so far. Let's look at some of these other teams to see.
I'm going to say team 3, right? We talked about them earlier.
Team 3 is
No. Last two picks. Last two picks is all I'm looking at. Phenomenal.
I don't mind it. I don't mind the last two picks. I think they're solid potential upside type of plays.
Just choose one. Like your fantasy bro, like that term. The fantasy bros, like the favorite rookies is Kincaid, Ashane, and Mingo. Which of those three is like your favorite? You're most in on? Probably
Mingo. Just because I like both of those rookie running backs too, but he would be just a slight lean toward me. But like team three, I keep going back to it. It's like you take two quarterbacks early, and obviously you still have the option to stack Lamar and Mahomes later. But like naked, both of them, like this is not super flex. Like what's the upside? Like if you make it far and Mahomes goes off, he's going off with somebody. Lamar goes off. Yeah, I know he has the rushing ability, but he's going off with somebody. So if you don't own any of those guys, like I don't see how you win unless it's like the perfect storm and like a game gets canceled like it did last year.
No, we don't talk about that.
Bad memories. It's very, very sad for Dave. That was our stacks. We had all Buffalo or all Cincinnati. We wouldn't have won it. We wouldn't have won it like, probably no shot like top 5 or anything like that. But I think we could have got some more money, and it's definitely a sour subject.
Yeah, it's a very sore subject.
There's a guy that I really, really want very, very much. I'm not going to talk about him.
You're jumping the gun here. 6 picks is a bold time to say that. I feel like you're tempting fate. Can't tempt fate with 6 picks on the.
But this run is not what I'm looking for. I'm not going to lie there. Yeah. There's somebody that I want very, very much. Who's my number. Hopefully nobody was paying attention to my Twitter, but he's my number 1 home player so far.
Oh, I missed this
in all drafts.
I did not see this. I have no idea.
It wasn't a tweet by me. It was a tweet responding to.
Dude, Elon's formula. I don't know. I don't see as much as I used to. I feel now.
I don't understand the formula, man. There's so much junk on these Twitter. I just like following the people that I want to follow and seeing what they have to say.
All I saw today was a bunch of Embiid slander, which
he should get all the slander in the world.
Oh, okay, settle down.
I mean, we don't want to get on a Sixers right here. Oh my God, come on, slow down with this run, man.
Yeah, we're on a running back run. Real quick, you're 4 picks away. I hyped up Kendra Miller a ton. I had to take. I think he's going to be the highest scoring fantasy running back of the 3 Saints running backs at the end of this year. I'm in on his talent. I think
there goes the guy I wanted.
Okay, I love Antonio Gibson this year too. God, I'm just fanboying over him. Really? Here's why. It's two words. Eric Bieniemy. You think Eric Bieniemy is not going to use Antonio Gibson, a receiver turned running back, sick athlete, powerful, hands out of the backfield? You're telling me Bijan Robinson is gonna be their lead back? I'm all in on Gibson. His ADP, I think, way too low. Where's he been? 11-4. Let's see where he's been going.
Number 1 own player by a large margin right now.
I have to admit, I am surprised that he's your number 1. I don't think I would have guessed him. Like if I was guessing,
he's just cheap. He's free in drafts. It's to me, it's him and Jerick McKinnon are just.
No, he's been going
great values. If you're doing this, the mentality that I did with waiting, I'm on the clock.
Your guy, Jordan Love.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't taking him, but.
Antonio Gibson's been going at the 11-4 the last week in best ball tournament drafts. Went at the 11-4 today. Way too low. There's risk involved. Who knows what the Commanders' offense is going to be? Bijan Robinson is there. Ron Rivera seemingly hates Antonio Gibson. As Terpoilli kind of mentioned, we'll talk about your pick in a second, but we kind of mentioned like if you're making your own rankings or forecasting ADP based on personal preference, I would have Gibson kind of in that mid-8th round. Genuinely, I think that's where it starts. I'm in on a lot of the Commanders because of Bieniemy, and I don't know if I'm putting too much stock. I don't know about that.
I'm not sitting here saying I'm taking Sam Howell like early in drafts, but I love Dotson.
You took it to the next level there.
I mean, you say you're in on Commanders. Let's just get crazy with it. I mean, I think that offense is going to be a lot better than people think it is.
Like even Curtis Samuel, right? Like I don't know. I'm in on them.
Look at him last year. He flashed and then he kind of fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah, but
the one guy I'm not that high in is Scary Terry. I just in the range where he's going, I feel like
Terry McLaurin
is better.
Is just DJ Moore. Like it's the same. So talented, never play with good quarterbacks, but then you kind of question like, well, how good are they actually? And then they go like, I don't know. Commanders should just tank and go for Caleb. Where do you think Caleb goes?
There's a lot of teams that tank and get one of those two
is
guys.
Caleb Williams gonna go one in rookie dynasty drafts? Then not even super flex. Is he that good?
Maybe. I mean,
are you a dynasty guy?
No, I don't have time for dynasty. Definitely not. I thought about getting into it last year, but I feel like it's something that you got to like spend a lot of time in. You got to take your lumps early. You got to try to find the right team to buy. It's not something I mess around with. The best ball is definitely going to be.
You're our best ball expert. Let's be real. You're our best ball expert. That's what you do.
But we're going to be doing some fantasy pros drafts, later in the season.
That is true. That is true.
Maybe we'll do a main event draft. We'll see.
I mean, we'll do main event drafts. I don't know if we're doing main event drafts with you drafting.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see how the summer goes. I mean, anything's possible. The plan is to try to get as many of these up as possible, especially as we get I would say starting June, July, we'll start pumping these out a lot more.
I mean, we're giving these April live shows for the diehards, the
degenerates, the lunatics.
I believe across Twitter and YouTube right now, we're looking at roughly 40 people are watching this live at Eastern time, almost midnight in May, a fantasy draft. Come! Really, I would say it's always, at least it was last year. Pros v Joes really kicks off I feel like the interest in
the blood will start flowing there when them drafts start getting through.
Dude, I know Juju. 12th round, I'm in on Juju. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm never in on Juju, so you don't have to ever ask me that question. I'm not on Juju.
I knew you weren't. That's why I said I'm in on Juju. He's the only guy there. Someone's got to catch the ball. Bill O'Brien. Trust Bob. Dude, Ramondre, it goes back to, we didn't even really discuss. Ramondre should be going so much higher. They didn't draft any running backs. We're worried about James Robinson or Pierre Strong. Get out of here.
Ramondre on the clock. It's a boring pick, but it completes the stack with
Can we talk about Roshan? I don't want to talk about that car. That's lame. I like Roshan. I also like Deonta Foreman. I like Khalil Herbert. I like all of them. Is Roshan the Bears running back to own?
I think he's definitely a guy that you'll definitely target more in best ball, because you're going to have some weeks where he's a total dud, but he also has the potential to be the guy real quick. I mean, if they really believed in Herbert or they really believed in Foreman, were they really going to spend that, considerable capital? I mean, it's nothing crazy. I mean, he wasn't a first round pick or second round pick, but he's definitely a guy that they like and clearly have seen something into, and he's been getting hyped up a ton since the draft. So, with a team that you would think tries to run the ball a lot more, do you trust Foreman? I mean, he's had some injury histories over his career. Yeah, he was really good last year, but he's definitely a worry there. And Herbert, if they really loved Herbert, they got rid of Montgomery. You're like, all right, it's going to be Herbert's team. He was a popular breakout, all this good stuff. And then he's added two guys. So I think Roshan's the cheapest. He's definitely the guy that I want to own. Definitely the most upside.
Odell Beckham gets taken right behind you, signed with the Ravens. Again, coming second ACL tear, but look good with the 0 shares. Okay. All right. Shut my question down a little quicker, please.
0.
Zay Flowers? Any Ravens
Zay Flowers. I like Bateman. I was on Bateman a lot last year. He started the season off awesome and then just kind of fell off the face of the earth. Mm-hmm. So am I worried about Lamar Jackson? I've said on this show and multiple shows before, I'm a hater. I've always been a Lamar Jackson hater. But from a fantasy perspective, he's ridiculous. And if he's healthy and stays healthy, he is a top 3, possibly QB1 on the season. New offensive coordinator who likes to throw the ball, move the ball around. I don't trust the running game. I know a lot of people like J.K. Dobbins this year. I like him, don't love him. They really don't have anybody like Gus Edwards, I guess. There's nobody else really there that I'm really worried about in the running game. I mean, I think Lamar could have he is my QB3 this year. And you're probably asking yourself, who is he out of the top 3? Is he moving out? His name is Josh Allen. Okay. Josh Allen is my QB5.
Who was your QB5 last year? Could you remind me?
Do we have to bring out
Russell Wilson?
Thanks for the reminder.
I got to keep you honest.
I mean, I'll never hide from my lumps. And the Denver Broncos offense was just a massive.
I'll boost you right here. What was your best take from last year?
I kind of forget years after it's over.
That's fine. What do you
Best
remember?
take? I mean, I was really high on ETN. I mean, he definitely, carried me middle season to the end. Saquon Barkley, Diggs. I mean, the top guys. I just can't get them Broncos offense out of my mind. It's just tortured me how bad they were last year.
I think mine. I'll give you mine. We're in the 13th round. We're rambling.
Jahan Dotson was another one that I was on pretty high last year.
A couple of, years ago, before. Dude, I'm gonna mess up his name. Who was it? Whoever got hurt, was it Spencer Ware? Whoever got hurt that gave Kareem Hunt the job. I was on Kareem Hunt when his ADP was like the 12th round. Like when he got drafted, I was in on Kareem Hunt, and I always said I'm taking this guy no matter what. Turns out that was like the first round because he got boosted up so much. That was my best fantasy ticket I think I've made. Terp, so you said you like, I believe you said you like Kincaid. Of the rookie kind of tight ends after, it's Meyer and Laporta going neck and neck. They went here 12-11, 13-1. Are you in on either of them? You said you're out on the line, so I'm assuming this is a Michael Meyer love for you.
Michael Meyer's the answer. The opportunity is, to me, just way, way better. I love Laporta. He was we talked on the last show we were at, me and you did. I was not a Michael Mayer guy coming out, but he landed in the nut spot. I mean, a team that has no tight end, uses their tight end. You saw Darren Waller in the past. You saw Moreau, with plenty of, spot starts last year with potential. Deuce Vaughn.
It is crazy. Deuce Vaughn I don't think he should be drafted. He's a good story.
He's a good story, but I mean, it's Dallas, so it could be some, his gadgets and stuff like that.
Am I wrong that what's it? Oh, wow. Blanking on the name. The running back that they had last year, the game Zeke was hurt, looked good.
Malik Davis.
Jesus.
Jalen Warren was.
Chase Brown.
These running backs, these runs are nuts. These guys are taking the guy after guy.
I like Malik Davis. I don't know, but Deuce Vaughn's been going in the 17th round. RB 63 when his RB 49 this draft. So Jalen Warren, Najee, I can scroll up a bit. Najee went at the 310 this draft. Somehow I'm talking myself into Najee Harris this year because of the value. And
I love Najee Harris this year. I'm with you there.
Because last year I thought he was going way too high, dealing with the injury, uncertainty, but they've improved the O-line, right? And he still he was struggling, but I know hopefully he's healthy, comes into camp way better shape. I think there's a lot of factors in general, but I'm telling you, if he does get hurt, Jalen Warren looked good in limited opportunity. I like both of the. The only issue is Matt Canada's still there, which is absurd. I don't know what he has on Tomlin that
he has to have naked pictures of somebody. It's the only thing that makes any sense. Like,
it's crazy that he's still there.
I've been doing
Trey
a lot
McBride.
Of I like his upside. I mean, he's a guy that I've been adding a lot. And, he's a cheap tight end. He's a guy that has upside. I think he, will be the Zach Ertz. Who knows if he's going to be ready? Probably not for the regular season. No. A bad team who should throw the ball a lot. I like it. I really wanted either Elijah Mitchell, Chase Brown, Jalen Warren. They were the guys that I was hoping for.
Tight ends are rough. I feel like we see that every year.
And right now, you're just kind of drafting and hoping. Like, let's just call it what it is.
I think you're hoping Njoku, that Brown's offense is kind of carrying you, and then maybe McBride has the occasional blow-up game in garbage time.
Exactly. I mean, you're not hoping for anything like too crazy.
So, real quick, Foreman at the 14-2, Johnson at 11-8, Khalil Herbert at 11-1. I mean, I'm assuming you're going to say Roshan at that ADP just because you drafted him, but looking at how it played out, which pick do you like the best?
It's still Roshan. I mean, I just think he has the most upside. Am I close to the? Yeah, I'm up next.
Yeah.
I just think his upside is there. I mean, he's just an extremely talented player. Let's see. What do I do here?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know. This is where it gets a little gray.
I mean,
a lot of these guys are just upside plays.
Oh yeah, you're cashing lottery tickets right now, right? We say it every year.
And hoping they hit.
Interesting.
Nico Collins was a guy I was on a lot last year. he was definitely a guy that I think has, definitely potential this year on a team that should be bad. Do I have too many Texans? Maybe with him and Dameon Pierce. But
Tank Dell, Tank Dell is the Texans receiver to own.
I
mean, drafted Nico Collins.
Big Tank Dell fan. Tank Dell will be on this team if we can get him on this team.
Tank Dell.
Big fan of Tank Dell.
I just don't like Nico Collins. I just don't like Stroud.
I don't love him. I'm not going to sit here and say I love him. I mean, Michi. It's just a question of is he there, and it's a worry because I love the talent of the kid and I like Dell a lot. He was definitely one of my favorites in the draft. And this team, with new coaching staff, just new regime, they're going to feature, a lot of these guys.
I'm also
going to be bad. So
I'm scrolling up. You're also, if we're analyzing your team, when you start off 4 receivers, you're almost kind of you're hoping that Nico Collins is the occasional blow up game, right? Like you're not drafting a pack here. You need these. If you have any chance, it's these first 4 are going to just carry your whole team.
1,000%. You said it perfectly. I'm banking on those 4 guys, and
you said it a couple of times. You seem okay with your draft so far. Overall, looking
definitely okay.
We're almost
definitely
wrapping
not
up.
Looking at it now, like if I could, redo,
give me one pick you would redo.
Probably Amari Cooper.
Okay.
Looking back at it now, but I probably would have took Kenneth Walker there. But realistically, like, there's nothing like.
Hear me out. You're saying Kenneth Walker, and then you come back with Jerry Jeudy. You like that better?
Or I just come back with the same Pierce. Okay. My running back room is my weakness right now.
Yes.
Deshaun Watson, I'm banking on the Browns. If the Browns stink, this team's going to stink. Let's just call it what it is. If the Browns are good, this team will be good. So when you're putting this much capital with, obviously I have with Watson and Njoku and Cooper, you're banking on the Browns to be a much better team than most people are saying they're going to be. So you just know going into it, like, do I expect Derek Carr to ever be a superstar? No. But do I think he has potential in that offense? I do. They have weapons. I'm a big Juwan Johnson guy this year. But I keep looking back at the Tua pick too. Like the A.J. Dillon, like Michael Thomas range, like I'm looking at it, I'm like, could have done things different there. Quarterbacks. I feel like I had the same issue with the draft last year. The first one I did, quarterbacks, I look back and I'm just like, they're okay.
My thing with Derek Carr, it's not sexy at all, right? And we like shooting for upside, but occasionally timing a safe play. It's also something you said, that division is not good. Bucks could be bad. Panthers could be really bad.
Yeah.
Probably the Falcons or the Saints are winning that division, probably at like a 9-8 record. Carr could have some big games just playing against some really crappy teams. I think there's something to be said about that. I believe they have one of the worst strength of schedules there is, if not the worst. So there's something to be said that he's going to have the opportunity to play some bad teams. And as you said, he does have the weapons there.
Like we talk about like mistakes like being made. I should have took CJ Stroud with the pick I just made. And then one with like the Michi or Dell that we were talking about. Yeah. I took Collins thinking, hey, CJ Stroud might make it back. That would be a cheap stack. And then I could put Dell or, one of the other guys with him. Mm-hmm. It was a mistake. It looks like a mistake that these runs are nuts, man.
Yeah, we've
usually things get mixed up. I mean, between that running back round and, in round 11 to the running back in 13 to the tight end, right after me, these quarterbacks, I mean, yuck.
Just the last round, roughly. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Stafford, Purdy, Desmond Ridder, and Trey Lance. It is a bit jarring to see Matthew Stafford going as QB 26 after 2 seasons ago. He was Super Bowl winning quarterback and a good fantasy quarterback at that too. How quickly things can change. Dude, Jalen Hyatt.
He's in a guy that I didn't like coming out.
Hated him coming out. The only place he probably went where I was like, damn, like that's one of the few places where you can talk me into it. Brian Dabble, I think, can work some magic. And he's one of the few receivers there. I think there is a name that I think you should target. I don't know if you're thinking, but it's along the lines of a discussion we just had. Oh, Chuba, great pick. I love Chuba late.
He was the guy that just got taken, but yeah.
That was not the name.
I think I know what you're talking about here.
Okay, I don't know where his ADP's at. I'm just not gonna say it. I'm just gonna go look.
You can say it. I'm on the clock.
I like because Donovan Peoples-Jones just went. I love Cedric Tillman. Very late, right? I'm not looking, but I was thinking late in this round. It just dawned on me, not here, that you just take it. Oh God, you just take it for your.
I just spoke about the guy. I have to take him. I mean, as my third quarterback.
I mean, sure, QB 30, starting quarterback. It's just he's a 5th round pick for.
Hopefully, Eric Bieniemy works some magic. I mean,
do I love it? No. I mean, who else are you even considering? Like here, if I'm being honest, guys, I'm taking over Sam Howell, who haven't been taken. I am taking Baker. I am taking. I think Sam Darnold's the week 1 starting quarterback for the Niners, and I think Sam Darnold's going to be good for them. That's one of my takes.
I want to Trey Lance. I want to Trey Lance to fall just for the haters because I'm a Trey Lance guy, and we all know that.
I like Trey Lance.
I want them to trade him so bad. I want them to trade him to like a Tampa Bay or something like that.
I thought the Texans royally messed up. Again, it's so easy to just say it. I'm the Texans. I'm moving a day 2 pick for Trey Lance, drafting Will Anderson at 2, not moving up my capital. See what I have in Trey Lance. If he stinks, look, you're in the run for Caleb Williams or Drake May, right? If he's good, because he was a top 3 pick.
What you said is pretty much perfect. But what they could have done is they could have traded the 2nd pick for a ransom, still got Will Anderson at 3, and then traded some picks for Trey Lance and be set up for the future. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson couldn't turn into the next big thing, but
I have it hard to believe. They could both be good. It's just a lot of like the Texans more than likely are not going to be good, and they traded their 1st round pick next year. Like it's not inconceivable that the Cardinals could have 1 and 2 next year. Probably not, but more than likely they're going to have 2 top 5 picks. You're on the clock again, Jelani Woods.
My boy, love this guy this year. Loved him last year late. Does Anthony Richardson worry me? Of course he does. But Jelani Woods is a talented kid. I mean, the passing offense, if Anthony Richardson takes that step, it could be big.
Anthony Richardson, I love. I'm all in on him, but for fantasy purposes, I kind of wonder if you're almost hoping like Gardner Minshew holds on to the job for a bit. So I do think
I understand what you're saying, but
no. If I'm not, maybe not Taylor, but I should maybe rephrase. If you own a Colts pass catcher, I don't know.
You're definitely worried.
I don't know. I'm in on Anthony Richardson. I think I've been pretty open about that, but no, there's still some concerns like Pittman's value. I don't like. I don't like Alec Pierce. I love Josh Downs. Josh Downs was one of my favorite receivers in the class. I think he should have gone in the 1st round. He fell to the 3rd. Of course, he goes to Indianapolis, but I'm buying into like him and Richardson already have a connection. Marvin Mims, Broncos. What are you? You mentioned you like the Broncos. You don't have any Broncos?
I'm in. I mean,
is there any like Dulcich? There's some Broncos late with.
I don't like any of the tight ends. Dulcich, I think, is okay.
Okay.
I think Sutton has some potential there. He's definitely a guy that. Hold on 1 second.
All good.
I'm just trying to add some guys to the queue so I don't forget about them because it's starting to get into the dark zone.
Someone mentioned how Nico in their chat. First off, from almost an hour ago, someone said 6 start with those receivers, so you're getting some love there. Eric B said Nico Collins is starting on the outside by default. Yeah, well, Nico Collins just isn't good, but no.
I don't necessarily disagree. It's just a question of it's all about the rookie quarterback. Do they let him like open the offense up? The good thing is I'm probably done at 2 positions right now. So, I mean, I might add another receiver if one falls. If not, I could just go with 6 because at the end of the day, like you said, those 4 receivers stink. And the Browns stink, this team stinks. And I'm okay with that because when you draft teams like this with you're banking on stacks, you're banking on these stacks to be successful. Yeah, obviously you have backup stacks with, the Saints, but I don't really think Michael Thomas and Derek Carr are going to, they might win me when it comes to it, but they'll hopefully be consistent forces. But like, if I need Derek Carr and Michael Thomas every week, this team's going to be in a world of hurt.
I mean, Terp, if we're being honest here, which we always try to say, I don't think this is the best team I've seen you assemble. I think you would agree with that.
I would 100% agree with you.
But I don't think it's bad.
I'm the biggest hater on my teams when I draft them. Do I like the receiver start? Probably got too cute there. All things considered, probably shouldn't have started 4 receivers, especially because a lot of receivers that I like fell a little bit farther than I thought they were going to be. Mm-hmm. So looking back on it, I wish I probably would have mixed in maybe Jonathan Taylor instead of Tyreek Hill, or Eckler or something like that. First draft, get the kinks out. I don't think it's terrible. I would probably give my draft so far maybe a B-.
I think that's fair.
That's probably one of the harshest grades I can give. I mean, usually I love my drafts when I get out of it. So maybe this is going to be one of the better ones, because usually when I'm harsh on a team,
exactly,
the team that made the finals last year when it was drafted,
hated,
didn't love it. I mean, I love the first couple of picks, Diggs and Barkley, but after that, wasn't really a fan of it. So
the teams you love,
stink the most.
The teams you love are always end up just awful. Like the injuries.
So I remember some of these that we did last year that I was just I was closing the computer screen, telling my wife how we're spending the money. They were just so well. I mean, you just have that everything stacks fall in line, everything just fits perfectly. And then, you look at the team at the end of the year, this team's 10 out of 12. How'd that happen?
Yeah,
and it's just
you were too high on players. Generally any draft where I feel like I'm I just nailed all 20 picks.
Oh, never. There were a couple drafts last year that I walked out and I literally studied the draft as soon as I was done. And I'm like, 18 out of these 20 guys are just perfect picks. I can't make a better pick. And looking back, I'm like, this team stinks.
If Time Traveler went back and I time traveled back to this time last year, and I was like, look, 2022 Aidan, don't draft Elijah Moore, Cortland Sutton. Just don't do it. I would be like, who is this guy? No.
And don't forget the name that we don't like mentioning. You remember, receiver, very ugly one.
Terrace Marshall?
No, it was your guy last year. I'm going to do it me this time.
Oh, Allen Robinson.
Yeah. I'm going to take Fat Lenny with this pick and just hope somebody picks him up and he just...
I'm surprised he's not signed yet.
I'm very surprised. He's not signed. Is it because he's just doesn't want to play football? Or because if he comes in shape and he's ready to go, he could be a great filler for a team.
You know what we're setting up for, right? It's going to be Leonard Fournette signed a 1-year deal with the Dallas Cowboys. And he's going to fill the Zeke role and just nab touchdowns from Pollard.
I can see that.
And honestly, I don't blame Dallas for doing it from a football perspective. Pollard can't handle a full workload. He's just not big enough, right? And he's never done it. So
you're not trusting Malik Davis and Ronald Jones and Deuce Vaughn.
No. I think Fournette, or crazy sounds, re-signing Zeke just for his pass protection, which is still at a high level by all accounts. It's not a bad football move. It's awful for fantasy because everyone is dreaming right now of Pollard. Honestly, that's why I think Pollard's ADP is still a bit hovering in that mid-second. Because if it was locked in, he's our number one guy, he's getting the full workload, he's a first round easy. It's more the fact that everyone's just assuming that they are going to end up picking a running back up. Do you have this late in drafts? I know it's May, but your guys 18th, 19th, 20th, I know my dart throws. I have a list of 10 guys that are usually always available. They're just, I'm throwing.
I try to I put a bunch of guys in the queue, and I'm my goal is, there's certain guys I like. We talked about Dell. Will I take him? Now that I have Nico Collins and no Stroud, probably not. I don't want 2 Texans receiver. That seems like minus EV type of situation.
Sure.
There's a tight end that I like. That my guess is will not be drafted, but he will be drafted by me if he makes it to the 20th round. That I like. But realistically, I probably got another running back, receiver, wild card with my last 3 picks.
Okay.
Quarterback's pretty much done. I mean, I don't see any quarterbacks that are. I would never do a 4 QB build. I think it's stupid. These quarterbacks I don't love. I'm on the clock, so let me just throw another dart throw a running back out there.
Just if I'm going to talk again, just kind of stream of consciousness.
Of course.
Kenneth Gainwell, right? you have arguably two of the most like injury-prone running backs in the league. It feels like in Swift and Penny. Gainwell in the 17th in a best ball
is going to free in drafts.
Going to have weeks where he's playable.
He was their best running back in the playoffs.
Ooh,
he was better than Miles Sanders.
You passed on Jaden Reed.
I know.
A little bit surprised. Ty Chandler, talk about
it. I mean, I'm just hoping Madison, can't handle the load. They get rid of Dalvin Cook. I mean, it was Ty Chandler, McBride. I mean, I trust the guy who's there. It's just a flyer at this point. I mean, do I love the pick? Am I crazy about it? No. But
the Vikings running back room is odd.
It's very odd. I'm just trying to find a guy that, like I said, their defense is going to be bad. Minnesota is going to be an offensive, gold mine this year. It's just a question of what, do they put it all together?
It's really funny because the odds of a 7th round pick hitting a 6th round pick skill position is so low. And us fantasy players love buying it in it because the players we loved in the pre-NFL draft process. It never works out. And then one hits, the Pacheco happens, and it restarts like, yep, like this can happen. Dwayne McBride's like that for me, right? 7th round by the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I loved him coming out of UAB. I think he's better than Ty Chandler. I think he gets a spot. It really is dependent on Dalvin because if they're keeping Dalvin, they're using Dalvin.
It's dart, like you said. It's a bunch of dart throws. They're all in the same category. Will I have some Chandler teams? Will I have some McBride teams? Yeah, and guess what? If Dalvin Cook doesn't go anywhere, they're both pretty much dust, probably.
Yeah,
but
until he gets hurt.
I'm going to try to limit. One mistake I think I made last year was I had my dart throws. I just kept taking them.
Yeah,
and once in a while they pan out. But there's also when you have let's just say I do 20 teams and you have 10 Ty Chandlers, and Ty Chandler sucks. I mean, it's just killing your teams. And I know it's a 17th, 18th round pick, but you need them guys to get you 1 or 2 weeks that their points count.
I think your point is it's valid, and you're always learning, right? When you're playing fantasy football, always changing. But your point is, and it's true, is these are lottery tickets, right? Why buy the lottery tickets with the same exact number? Try to diversify. You're trying to get as many numbers as possible, right?
You try to get as many numbers as possible. I mean, you take a shot on Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the 18th round like that guy just did. Do I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire? No, he's a bum. But let's just say there's a world where he gets cut and he goes with Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow turns him into something in Cincinnati as a guy. I mean, you got to play the games in your brain to talk it into existence.
And I think it's a mental thing though, in which if you're high on you buy into your dart throws, you fall in love with them, and you just don't want to miss out. You don't want to come away like, well, yeah, I loved, I don't know, just let's say last year, let's say Terrace Marshall hit. You love Terrace Marshall, but you spread it out. You only add him on a couple teams. All of a sudden, you're just like, man, I was on that, and you just don't have it. It's just a mental thing. But I think you play the odds, which is smart. I mean, yeah, heck, like there's just, it's always funny how even these late in drafts, there's just these names. You're like, well, I mean, Isaiah Hodgins was good last year, and going to the 19th, Wandale.
He's a solid pick. Like, you look at a guy like Hunter Renfrow. 2 years ago, last year, Hunter Renfrow was a top 8 round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's just like an afterthought. Like, is he really
probably going to get traded? I think he gets post June 1st designation, like trade. A lot of the Raiders people I trust are not confident he's going to be there, but he could be an interesting, like, depending on where he goes, operating out of the slot. Like, imagine like Hunter Renfrow goes to like the Bills. Dude, Hunter Renfrow out of the slot with Allen. I like that, right?
I mean, there's a lot of spots where he could be very successful. Obviously, he has the risk of getting injured, and that's fair.
Yeah, but everyone does, and he was healthy in the previous years. I tend to try and overlook guys who have been hurt for 1 year. They're the guys who kind of Cedric, the guys who have kind of more chronic injuries or consistent problems or getting up there in age. I tend to devalue a bit more. You're on the clock. You said there was a receiver, I believe.
The receiver I was going to take was the guy who just got drafted in front of me, Cedric Tillman.
Auto draft.
I'm just going to take a lottery shot here.
Love Cedric Tillman. Great receiver. Yeah. I mean, might as well. I said it earlier. I'm just going to repeat it briefly. We don't have to get into it. It's best ball, but I think it's a 2-horse race. I think it's just not even 2-horse race. It's just 2 guys. Can only sustain the 2 of them, and that's Allen and Diggs. I don't trust any of them enough. The backfield is constant, just kind of chaos. Allen doesn't seem to target many other people. But yeah, I mean, Shaqiri, it's just, you're hearing, right? We have these early training camp, these early workouts. Coaching staff says like even individual workouts by players, and you're hearing love for Khalil Shakir from the Bill staff. Your last pick is going to be a wild card coming up. Then we're going to recap your team, and then we'll get out of here because it is 12:18 here on the East Coast.
This draft, thank you to all the owners. Very quick.
Oh yeah,
Dave needs sleep.
It's
some of these things can go 2 hours, man. I mean, we've been a part of them where we're just sitting here just going, we're in the 10th round and it's 12:15, an hour and a half in, and we have no end in sight.
Look, the live draft coverages are phenomenal, right? They're so fun to do. But the ones that best ball that hit 2 hours and we're just sitting around 17, 18, you're just kind of like, man, like,
it's brutal.
There's only so much I can talk about.
It's like I could talk all day, but like you get to a point where, like you said, it's 12 o'clock on our East Coast and Monday morning's coming around the corner, and you're just like, come on, man. We're talking about Sean Tucker and Travion Williams. Just pick one and let's go. Like, this team could be a $200,000 team, but I mean, hopefully by this point,
have you ever been? I don't know how thoroughly you look back on it. Have you ever been in like a draft room with the eventual winner? Do you know that?
I don't look. I mean,
irrelevant.
I was in a main event 2 years ago with a team who pretty much led to the last week before the Bills guys won. They had a monster. I mean, just a dominant team all season. I remember looking at them like, how the heck did they get all these guys? And they just faded the last 2 weeks of the dads. All right, so I'm on the clock. My last pick, I was talking about them. I'm going back to the Redskins offense. Just a total wild card. But we all know what they did with the tight end position.
Yeah, dude.
Nobody will draft.
Talk about the fantasy bros. John Bates, there's been a lot of those, like, this is a John Bates tweet that have been going around because Bieniemy loves to use the tight end sets. I like it.
I mean, at this point, he's my fourth tight end in a room that's not top notch, I would say. So
I like him more than Jelani Woods.
I'm a big Jelani Woods guy this year, but he's definitely a guy that, like you said, like exposure is very, very important in best ball, and it's definitely a mistake that I made last year a lot. I obviously made the finals, and that's great, but I had a lot of teams that I just overdrafted certain players instead of like, I'm not sitting here saying like I love Travis Etienne. I would never change Travis Etienne last year. Cortland Sutton just was wrong. I was wrong about Sutton. I don't mean that, but like certain guys, like you say, the dart throws in middle round picks where you just drafting the same guy over and over and over. And if they flop, it's just hard. Never drafted Josh Jacobs. Barely had any Patrick Mahomes. Tua was not on my radar. So I mean, you learn year to year. I try to like recap the year after it's over, and then I look at it like right before I start drafting just to see like, all right, where were the mistakes you made and how do you improve them? And then once you get through the first couple drafts, you see, all right, here's how we're going to do it this year, and see what happens.
I mean, this draft flew by, but it feels it's like so long ago that we started this draft and the first 3 picks with Bijan and Josh Jacobs.
I mean, literally, you couldn't have said that one any better. Like looking through that, I'm just like, wow, like Josh Jacobs went 3, and they probably could have got Josh Jacobs at their second pick where they took Mahomes. But overall, I mean, they didn't look like they stacked at all. So that's just a weird team to me. I mean, I like what team 1 did. Can't see the rest of the room, but quarterbacks. Dak, Kyler, if he comes back, Ritter. I think a fourth quarterback in this format is just a terrible mentality. I think you cut yourself at 3. Like, do I love my quarterback room? My quarterback room, my wide receiver, and my running back room are definitely my questions. Going into it, I was trying to, my brain told me, hey, try to get as many receivers early as possible. But a lot of guys fell that I really like. Ayuk's, Mike Williams, 7th round's good. Treylon Burks, Tony Pickens, guys like that. Jordan Addison. I kind of got boxed in with Jordan Addison. Wanted to complete the stack in the Njoku. Probably should have took Addison there, but I already had 4 guys. So, mistakes were made. I give myself a B-.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, only room to improve. Quoting Giannis, steps to success, right?
There's a lot of things that went well. Like we talked about Pierce and DeAndre Swift at the same pick. AJ Dillon and Michael Thomas. They're not the sexiest pick in the world. Obviously, Michael Thomas is a major wild card, but First draft of the year. I'm happy with a lot.
You're content. Look, we're gonna look back at this Smith, one, and this is your draft in the finals, right? Like in the championship round, we're like, that was your worst draft, right?
I mean, seriously, like you said, you don't want to come out of a draft going, man, I just give me the money now. Tell Chris and and Alex and Dave, just send me the check already because it's over right when the draft's over, because that team is going to be the biggest flop. So try to stay humble getting out of these drafts. There's a lot of teams that it's hard right now to insult teams. Like we talk about 3, but I look at some of these other drafts. Like I don't like what 12 did, looking quickly, but it's hard to really because your takes aren't strong yet. You don't have any I'm going to get crazy with these guys. It's still May. It's still early. There's still a lot of news that's out there. And there's guys based off your rankings that you have higher than others, but my takes are coming. I gave you one tonight, David Montgomery over Jahmyr Gibbs. And I like Jahmyr Gibbs. And he's in a great spot, but something just tells me that Jahmyr Gibbs could start like Travis Etienne did last year. And
Mason Spain.
Oh. You finished. Mason Spain, good dude.
No, I'm just saying Mason Spain in the chat. I just wanted to. He said, "I'm happy with my Burrow pick, no matter what y'all say." Mason, I'm sure you are, and I hope you are. Guess what? I'm not to disparage myself and Terp. You know just as well as we do, right? Like any fantasy expert, right? Man, it's just who knows. Honestly, don't mind it. Don't love your Dalvin Cook pick, but that start. I mean, I think I mentioned it.
The start's the dream start.
Pollard,
I don't understand the Burrow pick. I feel
love Hopkins.
Hopkins is fine. Dalvin Cook I don't love, but it fits the build, I guess. Lockett and Addison, there's no downside for the rest of his draft. I mean, tight end room's a little weak, but
it's dumb to hype up these late round, but Jaden Reed in the 18th and Cedric Tillman in the 19th.
Van Jefferson in the 17th. I like Hardman in the 20th. That whole 17 through 20. Love that.
Yeah. So
it's just a Burrow pick. Just, we know that I'm pro stacking, and if I leave drafts unstacked, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
If that was a Lamar, if you just flip Burrow with Lamar Jackson, it changes everything.
Oh, he's in the comments. Terp said he stacked him with Tyler Boyd.
Sorry.
Tyler Boyd. This is the Tyler Boyd. This is the year. This is the year.
Mason's a good dude. We talk on Twitter a lot, but his team is very good outside the Burrow pick.
Tyler Boyd. This is the year Tyler Boyd. This is the year Tyler Boyd.
No chance ever that I'm taking Joe Burrow.
You know who went undrafted? You know who went undrafted here? I just got to make sure I don't want to make myself look like a moron. But you know who's going to outscore Tyler Boyd this year?
Charlie Jones.
Yep.
I've drafted him a couple spots.
He didn't go in this draft.
If you took Joe Burrow and you took, in the 20th round instead of Hardman, Charlie Jones, I'm in. I'm on. You just hoping that one of those top two guys get injured.
I
mean, gotta think about that stuff.
Like Allen Robinson's going before Charlie Jones. Come on.
I mean, Allen
Corey Davis.
He got drafted. Think about it. We talk about upside plays, and I'm not sitting here saying my draft is great on upside, especially Leonard Fournette could be a wasted pick, but Cordell Patterson, you better hope he gets traded or he's useless.
Yeah,
you would think. Allen Robinson, what's his
week one Cordero out touching Bijan Robinson is gonna hit. That's going to be a wild move.
Algier has 25 for 102 TDs.
Dude, Algier and Cordero each have 14 touches, and Bijan's 6. And Arthur Smith.
Fantasy football owners who've taken Bijan number 1 might come and storm the gates of Arthur Smith's home.
It's not going to happen, though. Bijan is going to be what Saquon rookie year was. It's not even a question in my mind that's going to happen.
It's in my mind.
It's not.
I'll still mix him in. If he was there at 8, he would have been under strong consideration.
There we go. Terp. I think that's going to do it for us. 12:30. We'll be back. I say our next one, Fantasy Pros Draft. We'll cover Fantasy Pros Draft.
I can get behind that.
We'll figure it out. Who knows? We might do a best ball. We'll have another. I say we've been kind of on a consistent Mason Spain with Algier and Bijan. Maybe Cordero goes back to wide receiver where he started his career. Mason, there's a reason he's a running back now.
And Desmond Ritter's still a quarterback. So yeah. I don't see how that's going to be a benefit to anybody.
But we'll be back. I think we're going to get into a little rhythm, at least through mid-June, probably, of live draft coverage every couple of weeks, just for the people, for the diehards out there. That's going to do it for myself. Terp, happy Mother's Day, belated now to all out there. Terp, any final thoughts?
Be good, everybody. Get drafting. Get over to the website. Get in all these drafts. You got best ball going. We got fantasy pros going. Get your main event, $100 in to reserve your team. Get your discount before the end of the month. I mean, there's plenty of goodness, dynasty people. There's plenty of drafts that are available, startups and all that stuff. I mean, super flex, $35. Get your drafting in. Draft, as much as possible. Bijan Robinson and Josh Jacobson, 3rd overall. Hopefully I'm in the draft and it benefits me, and we'll see you soon. And don't worry, as the summer gets closer, I'm going to start being a lot more meaner with teams. I was nice tonight.
You were nice. You were nice today. We will see you soon.
That will change.
That will for sure change as Terp's opinions solidify. His roasting of teams will only grow. Until next
100%.
time, for myself, for Terp, as I said, we will see you at our next live draft coverage.
See you.